peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
I want to begin by first and foremost thanking the African Union and all the African nations for their support and their belief in Kenya being able to advocate the African cause, the cause of Pan-Africanism, the cause of peace, the cause of global solidarity, the call to multilateralism. Kenya's story is one that believes and trusts that together we are stronger. One that believes that through democracy, through respect for human life, and through unity, more can be achieved than individually. We thank the African continent for supporting us in our bid. And we thank all our friends across the world who have joined us and supported us. Today is a day for me personally, on my own behalf and on behalf of the government and the people of Kenya, to assure you that a vote for Kenya is a vote for peace. A vote for Kenya is a vote for global solidarity. A vote for Kenya is a vote for multilateralism. A vote for Kenya is that even the smallest voice shall be heard as the largest and most powerful voice. Let's work together. Let's build global harmony. Let's move forward in our march for peace. Let's move forward in our march for the sustainable use of the resources that our continent, our globe, is endowed with. And let's move forward and ensure that no one is left behind.
When President Uhuru Kenyatta thought of a nation, a peaceful nation, a united nation called Kenya, he scored highly to the international community and to Kenyans. When the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga thought of a nation called Kenya, he scored highly. It is that redemption strategy, the coming together of opposition and the government, the president and the former opposition leader, or the opposition leader of Kenya, that has made Kenya peaceful, united, working together to date. It is therefore very important for the people of Kenya to realize that the most important thing that every African looks at when talking about Kenya is peace. But what kills Kenya is tribal enclaves, bad elections, bad electoral mechanisms, bad political morals. People lack political morals. People lack good electoral mechanisms. People think of tribes. It is not the poor, it is not the rich, it is not the destiny, it is not the hustler nation. No. Those have been there for many times, many years. But what has killed the country is that those one key thing, elections. If Kenya can sort out its electoral mechanism, that a winning candidate embraces a losing candidate, and a losing candidate embraces a winning candidate. You work together as a nation, work together as people of Kenya. That's the day that Kenya will rise and become a very good country, beyond what it is today. But the moment we go back to our tribal enclaves, we poison the politics. We play Machiavellian politics of backstabbing, intrigue, manipulation, machinations that flow in the Kenyan political arena. It's the moment that we destroy the same nation that needs that unity. President Uhuru Kenyatta, therefore, don't give up. Former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, don't give up on unity or purpose. Always strive to unite, leave a legacy of a united Kenya. That is the price you will give to the generations, the grandchildren, to your generations that will come. You might not be there to see the price that you have, the foundation you have laid. But once you leave that legacy of a united, peaceful Kenya, both of you and many other leaders in Kenya should not give up in search for that unity. I thank you very much. Those are my views. I believe a redemption strategy, and I repeat, a redemption strategy, the healing, reconciliation, reparation, accountability, truth-telling, those are the values of the handshake, a united Kenya with capacity to accommodate all. Thank you. Thank you, listeners.
Ni vipi tutaepuka ili janga la korona, maana kote duniani linazidi kusambaa, ni wengi wametuacha.
Yo guys, it's your boy DJ Euphoric here. So sad coronavirus is here with us. Na sisi wase tunaishi na disability, we have to make sure maze protect ourselves. Clean your assistive devices, especially those parts that zina come in contact with your body, kama armrests, brakes and wheel rims. Disinfect using the approved disinfectants from the Ministry of Health.
Sanitize, osha vizuri mikono yako. Quarantine and it's gonna be alright.
Hi, my name is Christine Enrico. I'm a mother to Elsa Wanjiko. Elsa Wanjiko has a special need. She has cerebral palsy. During this time of COVID-19, everybody is feeling anxious and fearful. As a mother of child with special need, I'd like to encourage all mothers and caregivers that we follow the government directives of wearing masks every time we leave our houses, wash our hands with clean running water, we sanitize our hands and also sanitize the equipment that our child uses, like the wheelchair, whenever we want to take them out. And whenever we want to take our children out for a walk, we should put them on mask and also put ourselves on mask. Stay safe. Komesha corona.
Hi guys, my name is Maureen Dinda and amidst this coronavirus pandemic, I'd like to urge everyone, including people with disabilities, to always wear masks in public and to maintain social distancing and use of sanitizers. To the people with albinism, I'd like to tell you that use of sanitizers has no effect or harm on your skin, so don't get afraid. Stay at home, stay safe, komesha corona.
Niaje watu wangu wa nguvu, hapa mimi naitwa Deno. Ningependa kuwashoe kwamba corona si mzaha. Corona iko bana. Corona iko kwa neighborhood. Manze jaribu kaa home. Na kama iwezekani lazima utoke nje kama mimi. Make sure uko kwa mask. Make sure unawea hiyo mask kila mahali. Kwanza sana ukiwa in a public place. Make sure uko kwa mask vizuri sana. Na kama unatumia guide kama mimi, make sure umemhold hapa kwa shoulder, kwa sababu huwezi mhold kwa elbow, kwa sababu hapo ndipo tunatumia ku sneeze. Sasa make sure that ume stay safe, make sure that ume sanitize. Corona ni real manze, cheza clean.
Tuepuke makundi, sura sishiki misi na budi, tusisambaze hivi virusi.
Hello friends, my name is Ben. I'd like to urge my friends, especially the deaf community, that we follow the guidelines given by the government in these times of corona. Don't forget, wash your hands with clean running water. Also, use masks when in public. If you don't have water, make sure you sanitize your hands. Also, keep social distance. Together, we can win corona. Stay safe, stay at home.
Epuka corona. Sanitize, osha vizuri mikono yako. Epuka corona. Quarantine and it's gonna be alright. Epuka corona. Sanitize, osha vizuri mikono yako. Epuka corona. Quarantine and it's gonna be alright. Epuka corona.
A very good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. This is Daytime Express, where we get to look at the news making headlines here in Kenya, as we are led by the three leading newspapers here in the country. That is the Star newspaper, the Standard, and also the Daily Nation. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and a very welcome to you wherever you're watching us from. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you were watching us from this morning here. A bright and sunny morning here in Nairobi. Indeed, it's a beautiful day. And Dr. Matanga shall be joining me just a little bit later. But for right now, before we get into, I think, the news, we look at a few statistics in Kenya and also in some of East African countries and see where do we stand, and even in Africa in general, according to the statistics, COVID-19 this morning. So in Kenya, the figures have gone up, and Kenya has confirmed so far 4,738 cases. The death toll in the country is 123. Recoveries right now stands at 1,607. Uganda, the cases there have gone up at 770. Recoveries in Uganda is 578, which I might add there is quite impressive, because 770 confirmed cases and the recoveries are over 500. That is quite something there. And the government of Uganda must be doing something right. And Zambia, 1,430 cases. The death toll is 11. Recoveries is 1,194. South Sudan, 1,813, and Somalia, 2,779 cases have been reported, with 90 deaths, and recoveries there stands at 782. So also that is impressive there in Somalia. And Rwanda, also the figures have gone up at 728. 2 people have died. Recovery stands at 359. And of course, South Africa, which is still The leading country in the continent in terms of the number of infections right now stands at 97,302. The death toll in South Africa is 1,930, and recovery stands at 51,608. Also, that is also quite impressive. Nearly slightly over half of the confirmed cases there are people who have recovered, and Egypt leading also cases at 55,233. The death toll is 2,193, and recoveries right now stands at 14,736. And Burundi, I'm really not surprised that the figures have gone up there after that election that happened a couple of days ago. And Burundi right now, the cases stands at 144. One person has died. Recoveries is at 93. Because remember, Burundi, there's a time it stayed for a good 2 weeks at 42 cases. And after that election, we started seeing an upsurge. It went to 82 straight. And then after that, today it is at 144. So Burundi is a place now we should start watching and see if at all the figures will continue going up, or now the new president, President Evariste Ndayishimiye, will make sure that he puts in measures in place that will ensure the curb of the spread of the COVID-19. And so the total cases in Africa this morning is at 350,000 cases, 655. The number of people who have died in the continent stands at 8,102. Recoveries in the continent is at 146,097. So that is just in a nutshell. And of course, the global cases right now stands over 9 million cases worldwide. So let's just leave that aside. And of course, as I said there earlier, thank you so much for watching us. Our doctor will be joining us in a short while. And so thank you. So we move to the Star newspaper this morning, and Uhuru moves to reward new allies. And before we get there, I just want to look at the latest in terms of, the government measures that it has put in place, and the latest updates in terms of COVID-19 in Kenya. I think it's very important. Those daily briefs that are usually carried out by the Ministry of Health, I think are very important, and Kenyans want to know what is happening and what is the latest and what is the government doing. How are we doing? Are people getting well? What is the problem? And so how can they continue keeping safe, even as increasingly there has been cases of Kenyans who have decided to just be very indisciplined, and they have become the vehicles that has worked in terms of increasing the numbers of COVID-19 in the country. So that is something that the government has to contend with in discipline among a lot of Kenyans. I was very surprised over the weekend, I think on Saturday, this young lady, met this young lady who I was really shocked to learn. She shared that over the week, they had gone to another nightclub in Westlands, and right now, according to the statistics, Westlands has registered a big number of cases of COVID-19. So they've gone there. I can't remember the club that she had gone. So her and her friend, around 8 p.m., they visited this club. It was locked, had a chain on the door, on the gate, and the watchman was there. So when they arrived there, in the company of her and a few of her friends, the watchman looked at them for a couple of minutes and then opened the gate, and to her surprise, inside was so many vehicles that were parked. And when they entered, a lot of revelers in the club, and there was no social distancing being observed. They were there, I don't know until what time, because she's saying they went there at 8. So you can imagine if that club was packed, and by 9, that is the curfew time. I wonder if those people even made it home, and if at all, how did they get home past the curfew hours? So you can see the government came out clearly and said the bars are not open, the clubs are not open. But now we hear statements like this being made. And this young lady, she thought, what is the use of even putting these measures in place? According to her, it doesn't serve any purpose. After all, people are still going. People like her are still going out there and just living their lives as if nothing is happening. And that was very saddening, because you'd imagine that such young people who have a better understanding and perhaps are exposed even to international news out there are able to see what is happening in countries like Brazil, in countries like Italy, in countries like, they see what happened in New York, they saw perhaps what happened in the UK. But unfortunately, this is the lot of the young people who perhaps when they're at home, they just Netflixing and chilling. They're not really interested in what is happening across the world. And that's why, according to what I was gathering from her, she's completely out of tune with what is happening, because if she does not understand why it is important for the government of Kenya to put the measures that it has put in place to ensure that we are safe, the travel restrictions to ensure that our folks back in the countryside are safe, then it's just very saddening. And indeed, you'll find that the older generation, who you would imagine perhaps you'd expect are ignorant in terms of maybe they don't have the right information, they're not well educated, so perhaps even the understanding of some of these things might be difficult. You find that those are the people who are actually adhering to these measures, and she was joking that her mother was saying, I don't want you to come visit me in the village because I need to be safe. I don't want you to come. So her mother is old there in the village and not as educated and informed as this young lady. But you find that the older generations are the ones who are actually paying more attention and adhering to these measures that have been put in place by the government, and these are some of the measures that have been advised by World Health Organization. And unfortunately, our young people have become now the high drivers of the spread of COVID-19. So these are the people, and this is the group that CS Mutahi Kagwe, when you talk, I don't know which language you'll use to make sure you get through to them, because it's quite sad, and their lack of in touch with what is really happening and their ignorance might cost this country a lot. So I think that is a group of people that CS Mutahi Kagwe now, you need to pay a little bit more attention and find out where is the disconnect, the message, the information that you're giving out and how they're receiving it and how they're processing it. What is the disconnect? Because I think the government has done, well in terms of putting the information out there, and you would imagine these would be the people who would, quickly understand this information. But unfortunately, that is not what is happening in the ground. Apparently, in the ground, things are different. So authorities, the police officers are the people who are supposed to be ensuring law and order. Several clubs in Westlands, I hear, they run up to I don't know what time, and when you go there in the night, they are packed to capacity, and this goes against the directives that has been given by the Ministry of Health. So I hope that the officials will get into it and see, and perhaps get to perhaps get these Kenyans who are not paying attention and who will make it very difficult for us to get back to our normal lives because of the carelessness. Because when the cases keep increasing like this, even the schools that the government had hoped will be opened in September, that might not happen. So we need everybody to be responsible, especially, when it comes to COVID-19. The government can do just as much, but the bulk of the responsibility is placed on the citizens themselves, on individuals. So if you, for a moment, think this is just a government thing, as that young lady was saying, she was saying, I don't think this COVID-19 is even real. I think the government just wants to lock down the country. I don't know for what reason, because the economy is suffering really badly. So I don't think the government of Kenya or any other government in the world will just lock down the country for the sake of locking down the country. And so she's saying perhaps they should just open the economy so that for those who will die, they just die, and then the rest of us, we can get on with our lives. And I just felt sad for this lovely young lady there. I don't know. Something needs to be done, because these young people are now becoming a problem. They are the ones who are going there to get the Kagwe special, as they have now branded it. So quite unfortunate there. So on the front pages of the Standard newspaper, COVID-19, the bitter truths on home care and frontline. Medics share their experiences on challenges like overwhelmed medical facilities, a delay in getting diagnostic test results, and patients getting to hospital when it is too late. So those are just some of the challenges that the medics are getting, and the experiences in terms of helping in managing the COVID-19 there. So that story is on page 2 and 3 of the Standard newspaper. I know we have a lot out on the front pages. There are a lot of politics, but I don't want to get into that politics fast. I really want to get the latest in terms of the COVID-19 and, so let me just read on page 2 there of the Standard newspaper. We were wiser 100 days and 123 deaths later, Kagwe, and it says Kenya yesterday reported a new high of COVID-19 cases on a day it was marking 100 days since the pandemic was confirmed in the country. The new high of 260 cases raises the number of COVID-19 confirmed cases in the country to 4,738 with 123 deaths so far. At the time, the government demonstrated how the pandemic has transformed the country's health sector. Now, according to statistics released by Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, the high number mirrors the increased sample tested, which were 3,651. To date, the government has tested about 140,012 samples now. The 100-day milestone is bittersweet. We mourn the 123 lives we have lost to date and celebrate the fact that we are better equipped and more informed to combat COVID-19 than before. So that was what CS Mutahi Kagwe said yesterday while marking 100 days since the first case of the COVID-19 was confirmed in the country. So he's saying that it's bittersweet because we wish we had not lost any soul the way Uganda hasn't, but unfortunately a lot of these cases, the people who have lost their lives due to COVID-19, also majority of them had existing medical conditions that perhaps had already rendered the immune system compromised. So it was when COVID-19, when they contracted COVID-19, it was difficult for the immune system to fight that. So our condolences to the families and loved and friends who have lost these 123 people due to COVID-19. So Kagwe said that the 100 days of pandemic have been a learning process of the ministry in charge and the country at large. And since the start of the COVID-19, not just in Kenya, we've seen it even with the World Health Organization where they keep giving information and sometimes changing and all that. And sometimes people don't understand and they wonder why can't World Health Organization just give us the information? Why do they keep changing? Because you know what? And I've seen also people complain here in Kenya because remember the first when they were making the projections and how many cases perhaps by the end of April Kenya would have confirmed and perhaps the number of deaths and all that if Kenyans are not very careful and are not keeping up today, taking care of themselves and observing these measures that have been put in place, then we might have seen a very huge upsurge of the numbers. But so Kenya's complain, why does the Ministry of Health keep giving us this information? The next day, perhaps they change. The next day, they change. Because COVID-19 is a new situation in the world. We have never heard such a situation before. So scientists are busy trying to find solutions and ways. And so every day there are new challenges that are emerging. So something that might have been said maybe a week ago, today maybe a new research might have been carried out and some new information be found. That is basically what science is. Like every time there's a new development and a new information, and so it can disregard the earlier on, or it can just add to what already had been said. So that is what you've been seeing happening there, and a lot of people have been saying, so why is it that World Health Organization, there's a time they said 10 days, a person who has had COVID-19 for 10 days and who has been in isolation for 10 days, whether they have tested positive or negative, when they go back to the society, if they are symptomatic, then they might not, pass the COVID-19 to somebody else. And then a couple of days later, they came out and said, no, that information is false. And yes, if you have the COVID-19 and you still test positive, then you can definitely pass it on to the other person. So this is just science. They keep changing, they keep doing their research, and we have to keep adjusting to this new information according to how, and when they get the new information. So that has been the biggest challenge, and the world, including Kenya, is trying to deal with this a problem the best way we know how. So I think we should, on our part, also support these efforts that are being put in place to ensure that we are safe. So yesterday was the second time where over 200 people tested positive here in Kenya for the virus. On June 18th, the ministry reported 213 positive cases from the highest sample size so far, 6,024. Now, this sample size, however, was made up of about 5,000 from a backlog. On that day, the ministry also reported the highest fatality in 24 hours as 10 people died. However, in yesterday's tally, there were 2 deaths, increasing the number of patients who have succumbed to, as I said there earlier, 123. Now, yesterday, as Kagwe released the daily tally, he took time to detail how the country's health system has transformed since the first case was reported on March 13th, 2020. Now, in March, the CS explained the government tested 3,419 samples where 78 turned positive. And I remember when we had that 78, oh my goodness, the country was in a panic mode. But now I think Kenyans have become so used to these numbers that even the higher we get, they're not shocked anymore. So no wonder that explains the attitude in which Kenyans are walking around with no masks, not caring. House visits have increased. House parties are happening as if nothing really has changed there. So on April 19th, about 108 samples were tested and 328 returned positive, while 57,527 tested in May had 1,615 testing positive. By yesterday, the government had processed 59,958 samples with 2,717 testing positive. Now, the figures demonstrated that the number of samples tested increased as we upgraded our testing capacity, and that is according to the CS Kagwe. So he's saying because since the country embarked on a mass testing, that is when we've seen, the numbers go up there. And that explains perhaps the higher numbers here in Kenya, because I don't know how many African countries outside of South Africa, not a lot of African countries are doing this mass testing. So I think this is a good thing by the Kenyan government. Of course, there has been challenges of sometimes a lack of, they run out of these kits and the reagents that are used to conduct this test. But so far, I think despite the challenges, the government is doing all it can to ensure they get as many people tested and they put them through the necessary treatment that they require. Now, the CS said that the country had come a long way since the first patient was confirmed. A major concern that the disease unearthed was on how unprepared Kenya was to handle a pandemic. That is very true. And CS Mutahi Kagwe was baptized by fire just when he took over the health ministries when the pandemic was just starting and had not even arrived in Kenya. So just a few weeks after taking, being appointed as the CS for health there, and our first case here in the country was recorded. And so Mr. Mutahi Kagwe there, the CS, was baptized by fire, and he hit the ground running, as you would hear a lot of our politicians there saying so. However, as the gravity of the disease sank in, the government was able to scale up preparation with additional beds and expanded facility spaces. We started with an 8-bed infectious disease capacity, developed to 120 beds capacity at the Mbagathi Hospital, and quickly converted over 500 beds at the Kenyatta University Hospital for Covid-19. So, and also Kagwe said he expects that in 2 weeks, all counties will have the necessary 300 isolation beds. I don't know why the counties still don't have the 300 isolation bed, because they've had about 3 months to prepare. About 3 months to prepare and to ensure, because these are directives that they were given by the Ministry of Health around 3 months ago, that every county should at least have this number of beds just for the basic preparedness, just in case our cases, surge or get to the other counties, because initially it was just in Nairobi, Mombasa, I think also Kwale and Kilifi. But now, over time, we've seen the people breaking all these travel restriction rules and all that. And we found that now the COVID-19 has spread all over. About, I think, 37 is it 37 or 32 of our counties are here. And so far, 550 patients have been discharged to recuperate at home, with 338 from Kenyatta University Hospital and 212 from Coast General. So we see there, CS Kagwe yesterday was just giving a breakdown on how Kenya has been dealing with this matter since the first case was reported in the country on March 13th. And he's just been, letting us know 100 days later, how has the government been dealing with COVID-19? How did the government respond? What is government's preparedness in terms of fighting and curbing the spread of COVID-19? So there it is. So anyway, at the end of the day, as we keep saying, the government will keep doing what it does. But at the end of the day, the bigger responsibility lies with us, our citizens, not just in Kenya, but in Africa and indeed across the globe, where you're watching me this morning, because the government cannot come there and wash your hands for you. The government cannot come there and fix your mask the proper way on your face and your mouth, to cover your mouth and your nose. The government cannot come there and tell you, once you've paid your fare in the vehicle, in the public service vehicle, then you're supposed to sanitize before you touch your mask, before you get into your handbag, before you do anything else. These are things that are on us as individuals. So we have the responsibility to keep us safe. We have a responsibility to keep our loved ones safe. So we cannot insist on that enough, because the government has just this fraction to ensure when you go there, you get tested, there is treatment. And we see that, even these centers, the isolation centers now are overwhelmed, and the numbers keep increasing. So if you can avert the need for you to go and get quarantined or get isolated or find yourself, needing oxygen or any kind of care, then it's up to you to ensure that you keep safe, you keep your loved ones safe, you protect yourself when you're out there in public, when you go to places that are crowded, in the supermarkets, when you go to, because there are a lot of supermarkets who are not adhering to this 1 meter social distancing rule. And you see that they have the places there, they're marked there, but there's nobody there to ensure that people are, Kenyans, because Kenyans apparently just need somebody to be monitoring, are they doing the right thing? It is the most annoying thing. You'll find that at the entrance, and I've observed it so many times at a certain supermarket in the CBD that I love going to because it's proximity and it's very convenient for me. You'll find that near the entrance, they have a sanitizer, an automated sanitizer there. So the guy who's taking the temperature just down the stairs there before you get in, they're just on your face like this. And I've not understood the importance of that thing, by the way. I think the sanitizer is much better and effective in such a situation than just taking the temperature, because once they take the temperature, they don't have somebody there to ensure that anybody who's walking into the supermarket actually goes there and sanitizes before they go in, touching the trolleys, touching the shopping baskets, touching the items there in the aisles. They don't ensure that. So taking the temperature does very little to help in curbing the spread of COVID-19. I wish they would not even take the temperature, but just direct people into, you have to sanitize. So was it 2 days ago, I'm walking in the supermarket, they take my temperature, which I feel is just ridiculous. And then just before me, 2 ladies, their temperatures were taken. They just walked in straight to the basket section. They did not sanitize, and nobody was there. I had to go quickly and tell one, hey, I think you're supposed to sanitize there before you walk in and pick the basket. And she just looked at me and just walked on. At the same time, her mask was just under her chin. So imagine, with such people walking around, risking their own lives and also risking ours. It's quite unfortunate. So that explains, the numbers that now we are seeing here. Kenyans, majority of us don't really care. I think majority of us have just given up. A majority of us just think, you know what, those who will die, and the rest of us will just leave. And they don't think that there could be the same people who might be affected. So it's quite unfortunate, but we are hoping that more can be done, especially in terms of education to our younger people who seems not to get the point, who seems not to understand the gravity that is COVID-19. So now let's just get into the front pages there. And politics now. According to the Standard newspaper, on the front pages, Uhuru and Raila's parliament fixes new lineup, emboldened by the handshake. President Uhuru Kenyatta will today chair a meeting of Jubilee coalition members of parliament to name new House committee leaders to replace 16 supporters of Deputy President William Ruto who were kicked out last week. Let's just go on to page 4 of the Standard newspaper and just understand what is the paper saying this morning, because we understand there's a meeting that is meant to be happening today. And it says, President Uhuru Kenyatta will today chair a meeting of Jubilee MPs at KICC Nairobi to unveil a new House leaders. All right, and okay, so as I continue reading this, we have some breaking news, and guess what? Aden Duale, the majority leader in Parliament, has been replaced by Amos Kimunya. So that is the breaking news. I wish Dr. Matanga was here, because he has been, very adamant, and he's been very consistent about his support for Aden Duale. He's saying as much as he's a very close ally to the Deputy President William Ruto, but also he's been serving very well as in his position and capacity as the leader of majority in Parliament. But now, yesterday while we were here, we were talking about how, a good number of legislators there had signed to remove Aden Duale. Now, breaking news, as I have just received it here, Aden Duale has been kicked out, and he has been replaced with Amos Kimunya. All right, not a very good day there for now ex-majority leader in Parliament, Mr. Aden Duale. All right, and of course, Doctor will join me later, and we shall have this conversation. I'd love to know what he makes of that, but I think his kicking out was quite inevitable from what we were seeing until yesterday. So the president will virtually address the members of parliament, and I think it is the same meeting that has happened that has kicked out, I think, Aden Duale. So this meeting that I'm reading here, it has happened. So perhaps this news has been overtaken by events. All right. So and Jubilee rebels vow to snap Uhuru's meeting. I think on the same meeting here, let me just read for us to understand a bit of that. And it says, Deputy President William Ruto's allies have declared they will snub the Jubilee Parliamentary Group meeting to be chaired by President Uhuru Kenyatta. This morning, I think it has happened, as I said there earlier. MPs Kimani Ngujiri of Bahati, Oscar Sudi of Kapseret, and Caleb Kositani of Soy, Corneli Serem of Aldai, and Didmas Baraza of Kimileli said yesterday they would skip the meeting where President Kenyatta is expected to name new committee chairpersons to replace more than a dozen of the DP's allies ousted last week. Now, this is what they said. The president has invited us for a PG meeting tomorrow. In the recent meeting, we expected the president to come and unite us. Instead, he hurled unpalatable remarks at us. As an elder, I left the meeting feeling sick. That is what Ngujiri said. We have not stopped him from doing anything he wants, and we are in agreement. Whether it shall be our expulsion from House committees or firing some cabinet secretaries, we have no problem. That is what Ngujiri said. We had standing orders at the National Assembly and Senate guiding how leadership and membership of committees was to be done. Unfortunately, the president changed that, making such appointments to be at his discretion. So that is what Ngunjiri there is saying. And that meeting seems to have happened there in State House, and now they have a new leadership that has been selected there to represent, Jubilee Party in Parliament. So as I said there earlier, the breaking news is Aden Duale has been kicked out, and instead his place has been taken by Mr. Amos Kimunya. So the meeting is happening at KICC. Yes, the meeting is happening at KICC, and it is being led by President Uhuru Kenyatta. So I shall continue filling you in on the proceedings of those meetings and of that meeting and the development as we continue to receive that. So we were looking at the front pages of the Standard newspaper, and I see here on page 5 it says, "We don't owe you a penny," Raila's party tells Amani National Congress. Now, ODM has denied claims by Amani National Congress that it is sponsoring chaos in NASA partner parties to deny them a share of funds from the exchequer. Now, Chairman John Badi said it was shocking that ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi was laying claim to the political party's funds, 4.5 billion Kenya shillings awarded to the opposition leader Raila Odinga-led party for the 2013-2017 period. Mbadi said ODM was not in any way coalition agreement with ANC during the period since Mudavadi contested the presidency under United Democratic Forum in 2013. Now, the National Assembly Minority Leader said it was ODM, Kalonzo Musyoka's Wiper Party, and Bungoma Senators Moses Wetangula's Ford Kenya that were in the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy code at the time. So we see their political wrangles even in opposition. All right, so let me see. Western governors face wrath of hostile MCAs. That is on page 18 of the Standard newspaper. TSC has no option but to hire more teachers. That is on page 16 of the Standard newspaper. And I think the President Uhuru Kenyatta, while speaking, I think for the last couple of state address that he gave, he made it very clear that he will be hiring more teachers, about 10,000 more teachers, and then 5,000 more teachers, and then 10,000 more interns, ICT interns there to help. Was it 10,000 teachers or the other way around? I don't know. But yes, President Uhuru Kenyatta said he's keen on hiring more teachers, and I think that is a very good news because a lot of people have been hurt and have really suffered due to COVID-19, and a lot of our young teachers who have graduated for years now and have not received employment. This will be a great opportunity for them to get employment, especially during this time. I think it will be a welcome relief there and a blessing for so many of our young people there. So even as Sassion there says, the TSC has no option but to hire more teachers. I think it is in line with what President Uhuru Kenyatta had said there earlier, his intention of having more teachers into the service. All right, so we move to the Star newspaper. Uhuru moves to reward new allies. Tupatane hapa Monday, Mheshimiwa. Let's meet on Monday. I wish to invite you for a Jubilee Coalition National Assembly Parliamentary Group meeting at Kenyatta International Conference Center on Monday, 22nd June 2020 at 9 a.m. Please be punctual. So President Uhuru Kenyatta also made a personal invite for the people who are attending that meeting right now, happening at the KICC as we speak. That has now replaced Adam Duale as the majority leader there in Parliament, and he has been replaced by Amos Kimunya. So that is the text that invited, the people, the members, the legislators who are supposed to, Jubilee officials who are supposed to, members of Parliament, and politicians who are supposed to be attending this meeting. So that is it. And the story, I think I've gone through it on the Standard newspaper, so I'll not go through too much of it. But the story is on page 2 of the Star newspaper. And also just down there, I think it is in the leading newspaper down there about Tochangamke to fill tax returns. Zetu, 8 days to go, Kenyans. Hey, I think I have a responsibility to remind you this morning that you only have 8 days left for you to file your taxes. And remember, even if perhaps you are employed and right now you are unemployed, you still must go and file your taxes. People think that only the people who are working, who have a check every end of the month, or who own businesses, or who have any kind of income are the ones who are viable to file for their tax. But if you have attained the age of 18, that means you're an adult. That means you're supposed to have registered as a you're supposed to be tax compliant. So whether you have you having an income or not, if you don't have an income, go to the return section. You'll find the nil return, and then you're supposed to fill that if you don't have any income. And if you do now, you'll go through the whole process. So Kenyans, you're encouraged. If you're 18 years and above, whether you're a student, whether you're a housewife, whether you're a house girl, whether you're a shamba boy, whatever, as long as you've attained the age of 18, you're supposed to be filing your returns. So this is a public notice to you. And Kerry is telling you only have 8 days to do so. So please go file your returns very quickly. Those long delays and long queues that usually are witnessed at the Kenya Revenue Authority offices across the country, no. So you still have time, and majority of these things now are done online. I filed mine a couple of weeks ago online, so you can do that. It takes a few minutes and you're done. All right, so go do that, please, and save yourself a lot of headache, because right now everything is attached to your taxes, so you cannot get away. These are not the days where people used to get away, and it's not going to work. So you better go do the right thing. Go file your returns. Either file nil if you don't have an income, or file your returns if you have an income there, but you are supposed to go file your taxes quickly before the end of this month. So you only have 8 days to go. So now you know. So don't say you do not have that information. So, okay, so impeachment down there on the Star newspaper. Waiguru holds breath as team begin hearings. It is a defining week for embattled Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru as impeachment process enters the crucial stage. By Friday, the governor shall have known whether she will continue serving the people of Kirinyaga as their governor or leave the powerful county seat and crumble her political career. Hearings begin on Tuesday through to Wednesday. So the embattled, the embattled Kirinyaga governor there, Anne Waiguru, the hearing for her, removal will start tomorrow through to Wednesday, and we shall keep you up to date with that story. And also, still on the front pages of the Star newspaper, I'm not ready to join coalitions. Governor Mutua. Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua has said he will not join any political coalition soon. The governor dismissed the current coalition, saying they are just tribal groups. Coalitions cannot put food on the table for Wanjiku. These are politics of personalities and not for development. So we must have a radical shift so we can all benefit from this country. That is what Mutua is quoted to have said. And also lavish spending by government unabated. All right, we see there on page 4 and 5 if you want to know what's really happening. And also up here, a big read: dog owners freed after losing pets to aflatoxin poisoning. Okay, now that's not very nice. Who is selling poisoned food to pets there? So dogs, a couple of dogs are said to have died after eating food that had aflatoxin poisoning. The story is on page 12 and 13 of the Star newspaper. And also Conrad DP Ruto team has crafted a new outfit known as Jubilee Asili. All right. There you go. So we go to our last newspaper this morning with a few minutes to go, about 10 minutes to go. And Ruto loss, Raila's gain, and time to share the spoils of the Jubilee fallout as ODM, KANU, Wiper, and CCM line up for House committee slots after the ruling party's parliamentary group meeting today. So that meeting that is happening at the Kenyatta International Conference Center, right? The KICC. So most of the committees have no leadership after Jubilee de-whipped all the MPs perceived to be loyal to Dr. William Ruto. Apart from making some of the senior positions on the minority side, ODM is angling to lead two committees, the Justice and Legal Affairs and that of Delegated Legislations. So the story is on page 3. Perhaps you just take a quick look at that, and then we see what's really happening there. That meeting, what we anticipate might be the outcome of that meeting, outside of replacing some of those committee leaders that has been removed from their positions. also on page 3 of the Daily Nation, it says Raila Odinga's ODM will be among other friendly political parties that will line up to reap the spoils of the fallout in Jubilee after the party's parliamentary group meeting at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, chaired by President Kenyatta this morning. Other beneficiaries of the slots left vacant in House committees following the purge. DP Ruto's allies are Chama cha Mashinani, whose leader is former Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto, and Kalonzo Musyoka's Wiper Democratic Party, while both parties signed a post-election cooperation agreement with the ruling party last Wednesday. ODM is yet to take the route, and its relationship with the Jubilee remains anchored on the March 9 handshake between Mr. Odinga and President Kenyatta. KANU has already signed a post-election coalition pact with the president's party. So it's very interesting, and I don't know if Raila Odinga is just being very strategic, and they've not. His party has not signed a working relation, like a legal thing that binds, his working relation with President Uhuru Kenyatta, as we saw last week. Chama cha Mashinani, leader there, Isaac Ruto, and also Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who signed a post-election cooperation agreement. ODM has not done that. So, Raila Odinga has been insisting when people, after that very famous handshake he had, with President Uhuru Kenyatta on the front, of the president's official office there, Harambee House, that famous handshake after a very acrimonious, election we had in this country. So that was a shock. I remember I was shocked because nobody had seen that coming, especially during that time. A lot of things and an upheaval have been happening and in the political, situation in this country. And so after that, they have been insisting when, DP Ruto and his allies and the people who are against this handshake could come and say, Raila Odinga is trying to get into the government through the back door, and we shall not agree with that. And Raila Odinga kept saying, I don't want to be in government. After all, I have something else that I'm busy with because he's the special envoy, AU special envoy for infrastructure there. He said, I just want to work for the good of this country. And for me, having a handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta is for the greater good of the country called Kenya. And we're trying to just set the country on a better pace towards a more peaceful, more stability, more in the future, because at that time the country was in a very bad space, all right? And so we've seen that they have been very consistent with that call, and they said, I don't want to join the government. I'm still in opposition. I'm not in government in any way. And so my working relationship is solely based on the change that we want to see in this country in terms of bringing everybody together and creating an inclusive Kenya where all Kenyans will feel as if they're part of, and no section of, any Kenyan from any part of this country will feel as if, the other side is more favored, the other side is more, because of their political affiliations. So they say they want to live a better Kenya. And so that has been, they have been very consistent, Mr. Raila Odinga, Honorable Raila Odinga, a former Prime Minister, and President Uhuru Kenyatta. They have been very consistent in their call for that and their effort to bring Kenyans together. That culminated into even the process of starting the BBI. Remember the BBI report, and of course COVID-19 has brought matters into, had made it stall a little bit, but that is supposed to be, the vehicle that will take Kenya where it's supposed to be. That is according to President Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. Raila Odinga, but Raila has not signed this cooperation agreement. So I think it's being strategic, if you ask me, and also, he doesn't want to sign that. I don't know. Raila, you can never really understand how he operates, but I'm sure it's quite strategic for him not to sign that. I don't know for what, but he has lived to his promise of working with President Uhuru Kenyatta to ensure a better Kenya, to ensure a safer Kenya, to ensure a peaceful Kenya, to ensure that they live a country that is more, is better for the future generations and for the children who are there today. I see, Dr. David Matanga is about to join us. Doctor, a very good morning to you. I can't hear you. The production will work on that. Our doctor will join us, and perhaps, yes, I wanted him to come and just tell me how he feels. How he feels about Aden Duale being kicked out of Jubilee, as the majority leader there in Parliament. Doctor, very good morning.
Good morning, Miriam.
All right, we're not able to get your audio there very properly. Yes.
Do you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. A very good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Miriam.
Yes, and nice to see you this morning, Doctor. The breaking news there is that Aden Duale has been replaced as the leader of majority by Amos Kimunya. Your reaction?
Miriam, thank you very much. I want first to clarify a few things. I am not an adamant supporter of Duale. I want to correct. I said Duale, I have never had Duale insult the president. That's point number one. And two, I said Duale has struggled in the parliament to foil motions which opposition at times even hated him, and they pulled them down. Three, I said during the ICC, we were together in The Hague under Rule 68 to save William Ruto. I did not say I am an adamant supporter. I said I have never seen him have a problem or insult the president publicly, like Moses Kuria, Dindi Nyoro, Kimani Ichungwa, Ngunjiri, and Oscar Sudi. That's what I said, and the clips are on this record. And then I said, whatever relationship they have, Jubilee Party should not sweep everybody. And that's my stand, I said, should not sweep everybody, because these are people of one party. That if I had a way, I would tell them, which I said, I decided my view. Duale is my friend, and he goes to the same gym with me. But what he does at night with Ruto, I don't know. And that's it. That's the correct version.
All right.
And the correct version this morning is the president, people were saying the president was not coming to the Zoom the whole night. I think you must have read so many people saying the president is not coming to this PG. He was going to be on Zoom. Some MPs did not turn up. Again, later on at night, this morning, they said they are turning up. Okay? The motion was very clear from when we read it last Friday. Was it Friday or yesterday? We saw 126
yesterday
MPs. Yes, I told you that the goose is cooked. There was no way you could stop. But on Duale, it is his problem. His problem is association with the deputy president. But on delivery of work, he has never insulted the president. And I will not change that statement to anyone. Right. I have never seen Duale insult Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Period. I have never had it. He has never gone to a public rally and insulted the president. At least he has insulted Raila Odinga. That one I can tell you. So the rest is history. There's a new leadership. And I am one of those. If you look at my articles, I said, just drain the swamp.
Yes.
Yes. And thank you very much, Mr. President. You have drained the swamp. That's all we wanted. Drain the swamp. Begin afresh. You have 750 days. 750 days left for you in office. You need the laws to pass, the bills to pass, so that you leave a legacy for Kenyans. You cannot have a frustrating leadership. Two, this morning, Miriam, I've written a document to say a president needs loyal people to serve in government. You can't have a president with disloyal officers. You get the point? People don't agree with him. The deputy president does not agree with the president. So how will you serve Jubilee Party? How will you be in the same government when you cannot serve your president who you elected as a party leader? I have never seen that democracy work. That Dr. Mr. Trump disagrees with Pence and they still work together. When Pence is going to open up an office of the Republican Party somewhere in Washington and call it, and then you pretend to be working together. I'm dressed up in this color of hope, of sunshine, that one day sunshine will rise down on the people of Kenya to realize my words, that they were strong, determined, focused from COVID-19 up to every word I've been telling you. Change strategy. I have been listening to you word by word from the time you started. When you said you enter a supermarket, you find women jumping in the queue to go and pick food on the trolley without washing their hands. We have huge numbers. We have only tested 142,000 out of 38 million Kenyans. And you people are saying open up the space. How will you open the space? How? Wandugu zangu wa Kenya mniambie, muta open space na hii kitu? People are receiving medicine. People are picking up medicine is coming. It's £5.26 in London. By the time it reaches here, it will be about £30. You will not be able to buy it. Okay? Very few people will be able to fly to London to drink the medicine or to be injected with the steroid. So wash your hands. Keep a social distance. Wear a mask. What else can we do, Miriam? We have done our best. We have advocated for these rights. We have told people that that is the much that we can do. On the question of Jubilee Party, President, the swamp, clean it. Just clean the swamp. What the hell are you talking about? Clean it. You cannot have people who don't like you to pretend to like you. They can be members of the party. You think everybody in the Republican Party likes Trump? No, they don't like him, but they obey when Trump said, I'm sending troops to America to go and conquer Zimbabwe. They will vote. They will vote and say, yes, American interests in Zimbabwe are at stake. Your Excellency, hand up. Yep. They go and vote.
Absolutely.
That is what they call party democracy. Collective responsibility. But you cannot be a president, a deputy is driving southwest, you are driving northwest. And we can't pretend that in the name of God, we can't pretend that things are all right. No. I don't know. Me, I leave it to, I am not a member of Jubilee Party. I am a friend of Jubilee Party. Why I'm speaking like this? I campaigned vigorously and broke my hand. This hand here. For almost 2 months, it had a plaster. This bone was all gone. But thanks God, it came back. Because I was driving fast to cover up constituencies so that Uhuru Kenyatta wins the second ballot. I don't demand anything more than unity. Lastly, let's go to the topic of the day. The unity of purpose. I'll make a takeaway medium for the sake of time.
And also, yes, Doctor, before you make the takeaway, thank you so much for clarification of the Duale matter there. Thank you. You've been consistent, and you've said, Duale has not insulted the president as much as he's a close. They have a close friendship with the deputy president, but he has served in his part as the majority leader. He has served Jubilee Party well in Parliament. So, thank you so much for clarifying that. So, go ahead with the takeaway.
Thank you very much, and it is not anything wrong, William. You didn't do anything wrong. No, you said that you see we are not English. You might have meant to say I'm a friend of Duale. But the truth is that I'm a friend.
Yes, that he's been serving. Yeah.
I meet Duale. Nobody is going to put me on trial. No, because I now should I meet Duale and run away? In the gym, he's in the gym. But what he does with Ruto, I don't know. At night, if he undermines the president, then let him carry the cross. Okay. But as far as friendship and fighting for the bills, I've been seeing him in the parliament, even the Jubilee people, some of the, not Jubilee, some of the opposition ODM, howl insults at him. But that is not for the show now. That one we can talk later about. But the good news this Monday morning is the swamp has been finally drained.
All right.
Whichever way, Miriam, it shouldn't take each of our lifetime. We have been consistent. We have been telling the president, clean the swamp, drain the swamp, give the people of Kenya a new hope, loyalty and competence. If a president is not surrounded by loyal people, how will he deliver his program? Yes. That is exactly the situation in the parliament in Nairobi. It's done. It's well done. I am just quiet today. It's another day, another Monday began with a shocker. Yes, next.
The unity of purposes in Kenya is a must, Doctor.
Next, I was telling you, William, next.
Yes.
You know where the dagger is going.
Where is the dagger pointed at?
Oh, next. The amendment bill that is before Parliament, that once you have mentioned.
Oh, the one we talked about on Friday. Yes.
So, Jermaine, when people who wrote the 48 laws of power,
Robert Greene,
they were not mad people.
Yeah, his name is.
They were not. Greene. That's why we use history. They were not mad when they told you. When Matanga told you that don't mourn for Rome, when Sicily is burning, the deputy president could not listen. Not campaign now, when 2022 is very far, he could not listen. He went to churches, he went to Arambe, allegedly opening projects that are useless now. Go to those places and ask those people whether the projects that were opened are working. Some of them died a long time ago. Listen to your boss. Uhuru Kenyatta wants one direction. Simple. I saw him climb those stairs going into the Kenyatta International Conference Center. I know him for a long time, for almost now 12 years. From the time 12 to 14 years, 2005 to date. It's almost 15 years. When you see him walk like that, he's already done, finished. His body language was telling that I am coming to finish. He chaired the meeting. Item number 1, election of majority leader. Second motion, Quisha. They did it. Just 10 minutes. The DP was there.
The DP was there?
That's what, yes, he was there.
Okay. That's good. I don't know if it's good, but...
They were there. Those who didn't come, sorry, what do you do? Make a party.
It was a Jubilee. Yeah, it was a Jubilee meeting.
Yet in Africa, don't you move. In fact, if you can declare your opposition party, you go. No problem. The government will not collapse. The government has a mandate of 2 years to finish. So unity, we don't need to go further. The most important thing of the legacy that President Uhuru Kenyatta wants is a unity of purpose. A unity of redemption with redemption strategy, healing, reconciliation, accountability, restitution, reparation. It all leads to healing process. Medium, that's what the president wants to leave the country. A united Kenya. A Kenya with a voice. A Kenya without Luo only, Kikuyu only, Kalenjin only. A Kenya with all the tribes. That's what the president is heading. You can go to Angel Gabriel and dance with him, then come back and tell you you are dancing with the angel. But if you don't follow what Jomo's son is saying, he wants a united, read my lips, he wants a united Kenya. At the moment, he's not interested in political party. He's interested in a united Kenya. And ask me why. Why? The disunited Kenya landed him in the ICC. So he has learned a lesson. A bitter lesson. The president is one person who would not like to see anyone ever from Kenya to be held before that court on false, fake evidence. Today I've told those who don't know it. Mjue leo. Maybe you don't know how to read Kenyatta's body language. I've told you, the president of Republic of Kenya does not want to hear anything that will take a Kenyan across to the ICC. He's fighting for unity of this country. He wants a united Kenya. He doesn't care leadership, whoever wins the seat. But as long as Kenya is united, and the people speak from Kwale to Turkana, Turkana to Migori, Migori to Mandera, Mandera to Marsabit, Marsabit to Rift Valley, Rift Valley to Nakuru, Nakuru, all over to Taveta, a united Kenya, you would have finished and he would have gone home. Less than that, Miriam, I am telling you, my good sister, this man wants that again. He is not interested in whatever people are thinking. that he is interested in extension of power. No. If there is extension of power to allow unity to grow, so be it.
All right.
So be it.
Okay.
So thank you very much. There is nothing much to talk. You have done a great job on analysis, on especially I was impressed with COVID. You spoke. That's what there is nobody, surely nobody is going to die for us. We shall die for ourselves. So if you don't wash your hands, Miriam, where will you, why are people? Why? You see? That's why some of us prefer, you say that I should come where you are. Let me stay where I am. Because on the way, you come out of the car, you find someone who has not washed your hands. And there you meet your final point. Medicine is not here in Nairobi. So at times, let me stay and then come where necessary. Good topic like that of tomorrow, you need to be there so that we are closer and monitoring. Thank you very much for the show. And thank you for everything that we have said. We have been vindicated.
Very well. Thank you so much, Doctor, there. And thank you so much, our viewers. So we shall take a short break, and then when we return, we shall come back with diplomatic clicks, where today we shall have a special spotlight on South Sudan. A lot of things have been happening in that country, and due to COVID-19, we have not had time to monitor the progress in terms of the peace process there that was signed in February and see how far. So today in South Sudan, we shall be looking at is peace holding, what can be done to help, so don't miss out. We shall see you on the other side of the break. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Good morning.
Good morning.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.